Alright, everybody. How are you guys doing today? Hopefully good. This video today is going to be, you can probably tell by the title of it, but this video today is going to be about mistakes to try and avoid in your early 20s. As somebody who's about halfway through my 20s right now, there's about three things that are definitely big mistakes that I've made in my 20s, going into where I am now, my mid 20s, that I wish I didn't make, slash, at least had an idea going into about what they were. So I thought I'd talk about them today to maybe educate some people and hopefully help prevent people from making the same mistakes that I did. Alright, so let's get into it. Guess we'll start off with the first thing. The first one that definitely comes to my mind is spending your money stupidly. And I know hearing that sounds dumb. It's like, what do you mean spend my money stupidly? It's my money. I'm gonna spend it how I want to. It's my whole life I've been fucking, wanting to, be at this age. I'm gonna spend my money how I want. Trust me, I get it. I fully agree with that. But there comes a point to where if you're spending so much money that you're barely like scraping by, there's a problem. And I don't mean that in the sense of like, if you're spending that money on necessities, things that you do need, food, or roof over your head, whatever it may be, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about on partying. I'm talking about on drugs. If that's, that's your thing, drugs, i.e., like, pot, fucking, booze, cigarettes, whatever, pick your poison, right? Don't spend too much money on that, especially at the bar. Bars will suck up your fucking money. Not saying don't go to the bar. I personally like the bar. I like going to bars. But they are stupidly expensive, and it is way, way, way too easy to spend way more money than you intend to at the bar. Way too easy. I cannot count the amount of times I've been at the bar, and next thing I know, I'm fucking buying two strangers a fucking drink. There's nothing wrong with that, but, that right there, that's like $10 down, 10 more dollars of my limited money that I really kind of have gone. So that's kind of the one thing I definitely would worry about is watch your money, don't spend it stupidly. But that would be number one. Number two that definitely comes to my mind is don't coast. And by coasting, I mean don't just sit there and expect things just to fall in line and everything will figure it out along the way. It might. I'm not saying it won't. But I'm saying it probably most definitely won't. Life tends not to work like that. Life really does not tend to work like that, If you just kind of sit there and let life take you somewhere, without you taking the reins, you might not like where it takes you, You might not like the outcome of where you end up. And then you're kind of stuck there. So don't coast. At least don't coast for too long. I've coasted before. It's not necessarily bad. Just don't do it for too long, because you might not like the outcome, and then you'll kind of be like, shit, I'm at this position in my life, and I don't know what to do or where to go, So at least try to have some idea of what you're going to try to do next, whether it be job, what you plan to do for job-wise, whether you're to pick up a trade, whether it be like, school, like education, whatever it is. Try not to coast. It's my recommendation. That's definitely a big one. And the third one, number 3, that comes to my mind. Don't compare. Sorry. Number three, one that comes to my mind, and this one might just be a personal thing of mine. A lot of people might not be able to relate to this, but don't compare yourself so harshly to your peers. As in, don't compare yourself too hard to those that you went to school with, or to those that you remember from middle school or high school. Everybody goes down different paths in life. Everybody does. Everybody has had different upbringings. Everybody has had different types of trauma, or different types of problems or struggles, or no trauma or no struggles. People have different types of financial situations, So don't ever find yourself comparing yourself to those around you too harsh, and let that bring you down, because everybody goes through different paths in life. And just because people seem to have it all figured out on social media, on Instagram, they seem to have it all figured out, or on Facebook, or on Twitter, they all seem to have it figured out. That's just one photo, 1 second in their daily life that you don't know about, Just because they're posting a photo of them, out at this, beach somewhere, or them like out at school or whatever, posting this and that, about how great everything is going. That doesn't mean truly is going that well. It doesn't mean that they're not, in student debt. Doesn't mean that, they might not be, struggling financially, that you might not be struggling financially, might not be, be having troubles in school, might be having problems at home, you don't know. And it's best not to compare yourself to others, and just try to focus on yourself in that sense. And I think that's about all I have to really say on that, honestly. I hope some of that advice maybe stuck out to maybe someone out there. Maybe somebody is able to take something away from, at least take away something from the advice I'm able to give. I'm no wise one here. I'm not some old head, nor am I quite good with my words, as you can tell, but thought I'd at least try to give some advice, because those are things that I would change and try to follow if I could turn back time. Those are definitely things that I would try to change and follow. So yeah, I think that's about it for this one. Hope that stuck out with somebody out there, and yeah, I hope everybody has a good day. See ya.